First lobster of the night and my first ever lobster in general. Never caught a keeper lobster, never caught lobster before. Today, first one today was like, I want to say like good 4 inches, baby. Set them right back. But we were just towing ourselves behind the boat, and all I see is these antennae just kind of sticking up out of the grass, and I was like, oh my gosh, is that what I think it is? Plunge myself forward. He's just staring at me just like this, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I get the light right up in his face, shove the net down on top of him, grab him, and I'm like, whoa! Yeah. Very first lobster. Swing! Swing, swing! Sorry, just, you know, carrying all my lobster. Nothing much. Got our limit of lobster in probably 20 minutes for the both of us. Someone wasn't man enough to stick his arms in a hole.
And how many eels bit you? One. So we're gonna go down to about 30 feet. Saw lobsters on it yesterday, like Gabriel said. Saw some lionfish yesterday as well. So we're gonna bring down a 3-pronged spear, try to clean up the ocean of those lionfish. And definitely be focusing on the lobster on this first dive.
Clear. Yep.
many shorts you think you threw back? 10?
I probably threw back like 13 or 14. Like you were staying behind fiddling with that one, I probably caught like 5 shorts. And they were all sitting this one. Oh, they're just looking at me. I was like, oh, no. Oh, no.
You know what they call that?
No.
It's called a lobster story, buddy. Really? You did good.
Got into some fire coral, so I mentioned a little bit.
Yeah, we first went down there. I went for that lobster, and something stung me right up under the neck.
I got fire coral
On your giblies?
Yeah.
Oh, no more swinging for you. Swing, swing, ow!
Swing, swing.
So we just came back from Key West. We were down there for about a week. Came home with 43 of these wonderful lobster tails. It was probably a little lower than we'd hoped for. I ended up with a massive double ear infection and couldn't dive at all. Couldn't even get in the water to swim. Yay! So we were relying on Scott and Gabe to, provide most of the lobsters, and this was Gabe's first time ever lobstering, and he did really well. So what I'm gonna show you here is one of our favorite recipes. Super easy, great for a weeknight meal using some of these beautiful lobsters. And that is going to be Instant Pot lobster mac and cheese. Of course, main ingredients are gonna be your pasta noodles. You're gonna use a full pound, and you can use an elbow, cavatappi, a shell, whatever you want. And then you're going to use a full quart of stock. I usually make homemade lobster stock. I can do a video on how to make that if you guys want. It's another one, Instant Pot, throw everything in, some of your lobster heads, turn it on for 2 hours, you got lobster stock. Didn't have time to do that because we just got back, so I'm also just gonna use chicken stock. So, to begin, we're literally just gonna open the pasta and toss it in the Instant Pot. And in there is gonna go our quart of stock. Add to that a good healthy shake of hot sauce. And I know it sounds weird, but it actually works really, really well. Or a little more if you like it spicier. We're gonna go with another squirt of spicy mustard. You can also use the Dijon or mustard powder if that's what you got. Then I'm gonna add probably a teaspoon or so of both onion powder and garlic powder. And then I'm gonna remove the meat from these shells. I'm actually gonna cook the lobster meat separately because it's very delicate. And I'm gonna toss these shells in. We're gonna go ahead and mix everything up. We're gonna go ahead and put the lid on the Instant Pot, make sure it's on seal, and we're gonna go on manual for 3 minutes. And that's manual high pressure, and then we wait. While we wait, we get the other ingredients ready. And of course, one of the most important ingredients of lobster mac and cheese is cheese. So I use a sharp cheddar and a smoked Gouda. And this is gonna sound weird, and I was a mac and cheese, traditionalist for years.
Snob.
I was a snob, I love mac and cheese. Melted cream cheese. This is about a half a block of softened cream cheese with about a couple tablespoons of butter into it, just to keep the consistency well. And these are the cheeses that are gonna go in. Also, while this is coming up to pressure and cooking, I'm going to cut up the lobster tails into bite-sized pieces. I'm gonna get my cast iron pan going with the rest of this butter. And what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna butter poach the lobster because it's delicate. And it's literally butter poaching, all it is cooking in butter. And we already cleaned and deveined all these and had vacuum sealed them before we left the Keys. So everything's already been cleaned out of these guys, all the gunk. Okay, so into the pan, it's all nice and warm, is about 1/3 of the stick of butter, both of our lobster tails. And I'm gonna add some Cajun seasoning. You can use a seasoning of your choice, Everglades, I know a lot of people like that. I just like that Cajun seasoning in this. We're just gonna let it slowly come up to temperature. Okay, so our lobster is just about done. I'm not cooking it fully through because it's gonna go in a sauce and into the oven. So I don't want it to get overcooked, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove this right now. Okay, so by the time the lobster was done cooking, I removed it here to my clean cutting board. You wanna reserve all that lobstery butter that's in the pan. And the Instant Pot already started counting down. So again, this is a very quick meal. This next step is gonna be optional, but we like to have a crunchy topping on ours. So I just melted some butter and I had a little bacon grease left over from breakfast. Just melted that into a ramekin. I'm gonna pour in some panko. And you can use, if you don't have panko, you can use Italian breadcrumbs as well, that's fine. And you just wanna make sure that you add enough to sop up all that buttery goodness. Now we're gonna wait 1 minute, and in 1 minute, we're gonna do a manual release on the pasta noodles. Move the Instant Pot away from your cabinets. I've learned that one the hard way. It can start to splatter. Some people wanna wait and let the pressure start to natural release, but I have found that especially if you're gonna be putting it into the broiler, into the oven, that the noodles get a little too mushy. So I always do a manual release on it. And yes, it can get messy, so you've been forewarned. So the Instant Pot has gone off. We're gonna go ahead and release and make sure, any small children and animals are far away when you do this, because it is gonna release a lot of steam, and watch your hands as well. The newer models of these have an actual button you can just press and walk away. This one is an older model, it does not. Okay, so we're gonna start by removing the lobster tails. You can see there's still some liquid in the pot, that's fine. It's gonna get mixed in and absorbed in with the noodles. We're gonna start by adding a little bit of half and half, or cream, butter, whatever you got, or milk, whatever you got. And this is probably about 1/4 cup. And again, this is not an unfattening recipe, so don't judge my cream cheese, I love it. And we're gonna go ahead and add in the cream cheese and the butter left over from the lobster.
Like a heart attack midnight snack.
It is a heart attack midnight snack. Good. We're gonna just go ahead and start mixing that real quick. You wanna get that cream cheese thoroughly absorbed and broken down. Okay, now that that's mixed up, we're gonna go ahead and add our hard cheeses. Now you're gonna note I haven't added salt to anything. I will not add the salt until this is all mixed in, because the stock contains salt, the cheeses contain salt, and if you add it too early, especially if you're cooking in an Instant Pot, everything can come out way too salty. So don't add it until everything is mixed in and you're just about ready to be done. So once everything has mixed in and incorporated, that's when you're gonna go ahead and add your salt and pepper to taste. And I just tasted this, and it does not need a lot of salt, so I'm just gonna add a pinch of salt. Mix again. And at this stage, we can add in our lobster. And because this is hot, this is why we didn't cook the lobster all the way through. At this stage, you can be done. You can actually serve this as a side or a meal, but again, we're gonna broil it in the oven. So I'm gonna get this into a pan. We're gonna put the panko, some extra hard cheese on top, and it's gonna go into the broiler on high for a minute or two. But again, we started this at 6 o'clock. It is now 6:19. It's done, and that included me messing around with the camera. So that was extra time with me messing around with the camera. So it is a very quick, very easy meal. If you want to make it more gourmet, you can add things like truffle oil, but it's kind of rich enough as it is, you don't really need it. So this is the product as it's about to go into the broiler. You'll notice I put the breadcrumbs on top of the cheese, and there's actually a method behind my madness, and that is so that the breadcrumbs don't absorb the sauce and that the mac and cheese stays actually nice and creamy, and that the oil from the cheese actually goes down into the mac and cheese, helping to keep it creamy. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put this in the broiler, and it should be about 3 minutes and it'll be done. And here is our final product. It wasn't even 3 minutes, it took about 2 minutes for everything to melt down and brown out. So now we get to try it, and this is the best part. And if you want it even more melty versus creamy, use a different cheese. You can use like a Munster cheese, and it'll get it nice and stringy. Even more so than the cheddar will. Yep, that's good. If you want it more lobstery or more seafoody, again, use a seafood stock versus a chicken stock. In our house, we, excuse me, you can use a seafood stock. And if you want a recipe for that or me to do a video on how to make that in the Instant Pot, I can do that for you guys. But me, I'm not a huge seafood eater. I like it, I'm not a huge seafood eater. So for me, I like the mellower flavor of the chicken stock mixed with just a little bit of that lobster flavor from the lobster butter. Here, you want some?
Oh, damn.
I like the smoked Gouda in it.
Oh, damn. Give me another bite.
Now, I want you guys to try this recipe. It's a good way for you to use up a lot of those Key West lobsters from mini season. We actually avoided mini season this year. Let me know how you like it. Hit the like button, subscribe, and don't forget, dinner's waiting. Go and get it.